Good afternoon, everybody. I took a minute. It's been a long day. Collected my thoughts. A lot of success today. Our wire is to the roof for our disconnects. Everything is landed. We are ready for Tuesday at work for our contractor. But really quick today, I just wanted to brush on something that I'm going to continue to dive into deeper, which was, I touched on a little bit the other day, the topic of long-term care. So part of that, right, and this is something that has affected me a lot in the last 2 years, so, you know, I'm pretty passionate about it, and it's just something that, like I spoke on before, I've learned how important it is and how easy it is to be behind the 8 ball, or be not as ready or have long-term care or estate planning not done as far as a family member maybe should have it done, or you should have it done, right? I'm not going to tell you what to do. We're all adults here. I'm just sharing my experience, because my biggest hope out of all of this, and me talking while I have 20 minutes of free time here and there, is maybe I can make one person's situation better and save one person from having a total headache or a nightmare, you know, or seeing a circumstance that they've never seen before without having some knowledge, right? So I'm just sharing what's happened to me. You know, it became really evident when I started helping my grandmother out that I've got a will and everything is taken care of. Really didn't accomplish much at all when it came to being ready for if she needed long-term care. It does not take much today when you get to the point where you need long-term care, if it ever happens, to chew up a ton of money really fast. By default, people end up at, you know, Medicaid level for long-term care. It's just what do you do when you run out of money? You can't private pay anymore. Unless you're super rich and loaded, you're going to pay until you run out of money, and then you're going to end up on Medicaid. So, using my critical thinking skills, I started doing some research, and it became apparent that at minimum, somebody needed to be her durable power of attorney, and I confirmed this with 2 legal resources. Some odd things happened in between with her VA pension and income, so I was working with one legal resource. It was free because of her income, and then she became ineligible because of an income increase, trying to get her more help. So then we ended up having to pay for an attorney. Both of them confirmed the same thing, right? It was really good that she was able to trust somebody, and she decided to give me durable power of attorney, because at that point I didn't feel like I was handcuffed and couldn't help her. I felt like I could find resources to help her with her accounts, anything. I mean, she had everybody. It's got a life, you know, like a bank accounts, credit cards, and, you know, utility bills, all these things. What happens if that person gets to the point where they can't do it on their own? And I can say for us, it happened, and it happened really fast. So that was the big, critical first step. And I told her flat out, this is super important. I don't care who you elect. It does not have to be me. There's other family members that could do this. You choose who you want. We sat down and we did the work, did the paperwork, got it done, and it's a process. It takes time. That's the problem that I've run into. I spent a ton of time trying to get out front of what might be required in this situation. And I can tell you from living in that experience, none of this stuff happens in an instant. Do not wait until you need it, because it's a necessity. Please, everybody out there, do your own research per situation and take care of this stuff in advance. It's so important. That's my rant for today. But our first step for her was durable power of attorney, and then I had the power to go out and find resources for her and work on her behalf in the event. And it did happen where she wasn't necessarily capable of making those decisions on her own without having big old handcuffs on and everybody saying, I can't talk to you, I can't help you, oh, you don't have power of attorney, nothing I can do for you. So that was a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And I've had a pile of times where I've had to use that to help with her situation. One of the big ones was for clearing a deed. We sold a piece of property to a family member, and I needed a copy of my grandfather's death certificate. And one thing they told me here in New York is, and people can look this up, this is just what I was told, I only had 1 year from the time my power of attorney was signed to get vital records like a death certificate, and she maybe had it somewhere, but there's boxes and boxes of papers. I needed a copy of his death certificate because his name was still on the old deed of the, for the property transfer. And then I needed a copy of that, his certificate again to submit, with our Medicaid paperwork. So little things have become very big things, and there's been, I'm running out of fingers to count on times where I've been like, man, am I glad I started taking these steps 2 years ago. Not 2 months ago, not 2 weeks ago. 2 years ago I started this process. I'm still in it, and I'm still learning things every day. So that's the first steps that took place for me for my situation, and I hope that helps everybody a little bit. Maybe inspires everybody a little bit to even just think about where they're at, or where a very close family member that you love is at with those steps and planning for that stuff. Because right now, I feel, for me, for my situation, the optimum number is 5 years. A lot of things can't have happened within 5 years. 5 years is a long time. So it's no fun to look a family member in the eye and say, I don't know what's going to happen with this asset or that thing or this part of your estate that you worked for your entire life, and you don't want it to go here. You wanted, most family members have a vision of where their stuff is going to go. Well, if you don't have everything, locked in place where you really want it to go, and for a lot of times I've noticed with the older generation, the rules have changed in their lifetime so much, but you don't necessarily know that or keep track of it until it's maybe too late. Oh, I need to apply for Medicaid, or I need to apply for help, and then you learn of all these rule changes, where a good old-fashioned will covers me pretty good as a young guy. More than likely, if something happens, I'm gonna have a tragic accident. Probably not gonna end up in long-term care, but everything would just go where I designate it. For somebody older in age that's headed towards where you never know if they're gonna need that care, there's some different rules, and I learned really fast that a standard old will might not cover your butt and or get those assets and things of that nature necessarily divvied up the way that a loved one thought. So I'll stop bugging you today. Everybody have a great afternoon. It's beautiful out, and I am headed home to pick some wonderful project I can do with 1.5 hands. Talk to everybody in the next one.